I got scammed on Vinted not once but twice in the last 6 weeks. I'm going to tell you what I bought, how I knew they were fakes, and the two completely different resolutions. Hey beautiful ones, if you're new here, my name's Michelle and I make content about handbags and also a bit of fashion, so if that is something that you're interested in, please do consider subscribing. It would be absolutely amazing to have you here. Right, so I will start with the first item that I got scammed on first. Please forgive me today with the heat. I was so close to not filming because this room is 32.5 degrees, so I will be getting sweatier and sweatier as this video continues, and it is so hot at the minute in the UK. I was considering not filming, but I haven't put up a video for a couple of weeks, which isn't good, so I thought I'm just gonna go through it and let you know this story because, well, these stories, because they are just honestly, so they're about trainers. As you guys know, I'm a handbag person. I buy a lot of handbags, but I also buy a lot of shoes. Now I haven't bought shoes on Vinted ever before. I've bought a couple of pairs of luxury shoes from eBay, which I've had authenticated and they've been absolutely fine. But I don't know if you can remember, back in October, September time, I put a little vlog on here on a shopping trip when I went to Birmingham, and I saw some really lovely shoes in there that I absolutely adored. I didn't know at the time that they were a Puma collab with Jenny from Blackpink, so I just assumed they would be around for a while, and with it being sort of September, October time, it was getting on closest to Christmas, so I just thought, you know what, I'll just buy them in the new year. But by then, gone. Get my hands on them for love nor money, but I've been keeping a bit of an eye out, set up some alerts on eBay, Vinted, to try to find these shoes, and lo and behold, there's been a few now that have just been sort of down. Now I don't really want ones that have been worn, if that makes sense. I kind of a little bit funny about pre-loved shoes because obviously they've had somebody else's feet in them. These ones, they were brand new in box, so I thought perfect. And the price on them, so the price originally I think was around about £115, but these ones were originally about £75, and I negotiated with the seller and I was able to get them for £60, so not a massive amount different from what they would have been had I have bought them before. Now I know that you get fake shoes, I'm not naive, but in my mind I've always thought of fake shoes as being designer shoes, really expensive ones, not your common or garden of Puma shoes. These ones were obviously a more limited edition, so I thought it was potentially possible, but I didn't really think a massive amount of it. Anyway, these shoes turned up and I was so excited. As I said, I've wanted these shoes since September, October time last year, and they arrived. Please be them. So I opened the box. Now opened the box and I was like, okay, good. They've got a dust bag. The box looks decent. It's logoed up. It's got, hang on, it's upside down. It kind of looks pretty much as I would expect it to. But when I took these out of the box, the smell of chemicals was really strong, and I know from handbags that a lot of the, well, not necessarily a lot, but I know that a massive giveaway that a handbag isn't real is the smell. So I was a bit suspicious to begin with, just simply based upon that bit of knowledge. And I took them out, I had a little look at them. I thought, you know what, they're still looking okay. But see, they've got all the stuff with them. They've got these little things that everything's all sort of branded up. They've got these little tag things that go on the laces, and they've got instructions, and everything just looks fairly decent, to be fair. It's even got sort of tissue paper, and it's got a lot. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna give them the benefit of the doubt somewhat. But when I opened the bag, as I said, the smell was bad. And I looked at them, and the quality of them is the first thing that made me think, maybe an issue here. So the tags, again, tags aren't so bad. They look reasonable. I haven't bought any Puma shoes in the longest time, so I wasn't wholly sure on what to sort of do tags and things. But yeah, I just noticed the quality of them. So hopefully you can see this on camera. I've probably got some cutaways that I can pop on photos that I sent to the seller. So yeah, I was like, these aren't made particularly well. There's sort of threads. There's threads on both pairs of these, and then I looked at the cat at the front, and I was like, oh, look at the Puma on the front. What do you notice? Pointy ears, pointy nose, and I was like, that is not how it's supposed to be. Even just looking at the little tag up there, it definitely doesn't have pointy ears and pointy nose. So I was really starting to feel very, very unhappy. So I did what everybody does and have a little look. I say what everybody does. Maybe not everybody, but it's got a, oh, what was that? But it's got a QR code in here. So even this bit here made me feel a bit suspicious, because that's not finished very well. And it's got a QR code in there. So I scanned it, and it came up with a bit of a strange Chinese looking website. So I googled it, and Google said that it's a website for fakes, essentially. And my little heart sunk when I knew these were fakes, because I wanted these for so long, and yeah, it's really, really disappointed and unhappy. So right, what happened? So I put a report in. There's an option on Vinted to select the, I think it says like I'm happy or something like that. So I clicked that. It then asked you for the reasons. So I put item not as described, as that was sort of the nearest, and then it then, you know, so then an option for, I think these are fakes, etc. So I selected that one. It then asked you to write some details. So I did. I put down all the reasons as to why I thought these were fakes. So the smell, the fact that there's loose threads all over the place, the pointy nose and ears of the cat, the fact that the QR code goes to a website that Google said isn't legit. And I sent it over to the seller. Now, I haven't had any issues before with anything that I've bought on Vinted. I've never returned anything. I have bought that's luxury, and I have bought a few luxury items on there. I've got it authenticated. There's been an option to get it authenticated. Before that option was on Vinted, I didn't buy anything on there that was luxury, because it was always a worry. Now I know these aren't luxury, but I know some things like this you can get authenticated, but I just thought they're trainers. Yeah, you do have the option when if you buy anything on Vinted. I would always recommend getting it authenticated if the option is there. So anyway, I contacted the seller. I had all the reasons why, etc, etc. Now, I don't quite know what I was expecting. I think it did say on there that the seller may ask for it to be returned as part of the instructions. So I thought, fine, I can return it. All I want is my money back. So I sent over all the details. I wrote, happy to return. I'm certain these are authentic. These are counterfeit, and I am really disappointed. Then came back and offered me a £20 refund. I was like, what? A £20 refund? Are you having a laugh? I went back and I was like, look, you're not going to wear these shoes. You know, I'm funny because I know some people are absolutely fine with fakes and things like that, but if I know something's a fake, I can't leave the house in it. Even if, you know, and people like nice shoes, had no idea they were fakes, I don't care. I would know, and I just couldn't do it. The same with handbags. If I know something's not right, I can't do it. That is obviously my opinion. I'm sure yours is probably different. Interested to know your thoughts in the comments on that, actually. Anyway, I messaged back saying literally that, you know, I don't want fake shoes, I don't have fake shoes, I can't leave the house in them, etc. They then came back and offered me a £40 refund, and I was like, no, I'm still going to be stuck with these shoes that I don't want. What am I going to do with them? Eventually they just refunded me, so I was still expecting to send them back. They just refunded me, and I didn't hear anything about it. I don't even think there was an apology, to be fair. It was just it sounds as though they've probably done this before and maybe gotten away with it. But when I purchased from them, they had good reviews, so I'm a little bit confused. Anyway, so that's the first pair, and that is what happened. Second pair. So these are the second pair. You're probably wondering, why are they in a bag, sealed up? So I will tell you the story of these whilst I am getting them out. So, as I was so disappointed by these ones, and I still wanted some trainers. You know how it is when you get your mind set on something that you want. I was like, right, I still want some fun trainers. Fun trainers. So I do now have a pair that I bought direct from the Adidas store. Well, it was ASOS, but from Adidas. So I know they're legit. But after this experience on Vinted, I won't ever buy trainers from Vinted ever again unless there's an authentication on there, which I will most definitely do. But as I said, I never thought buying, you know, Puma, Adidas, those types of trainers would be any issue with them being counterfeit. Like, that just didn't even cross my mind. Right, hang on, it's taken a while to get these out, so 1 second. Right, so these are them. Right, the story of these, okay, and I will come on to why they're wrapped. So these ones, I bought these ones, and again, I looked at them. I've bought Adidas shoes in the past. I know the right foot comes with the tag on, and it has this funny little weird kind of, you know what it is, like strawy raffia tag. So I thought, perfect. They're a little bit of an unusual style, but I wanted them. Anyway, they arrived. They weren't in a box, nothing like that. They literally arrived like this. But yeah, it's fine with them. When I started feeling them, they don't feel right. The quality isn't so bad. To be fair, there's a little bit of loose thread there, but they just didn't feel right. Like this bit here, there's barely any texture on here at all. This just feels weird. Now, I've been looking at these shoes. There's an Adidas pair of these shoes that with green on. A little bit different, but very similar, which I have been looking at in the shop for some time. They are the pair that I've actually got now, after this experience, because I had enough and I'm like, right, going straight to the store. Anyway, so I know what this feels like, because I've been feeling them in the shop for some time, and this isn't right. I know this isn't right. So after what happened before, bear in mind I may not have been that cautious on these if I hadn't have had the same, if I hadn't had the experience with those Puma ones. I may just have accepted these, but I don't know, I would have cottoned on at some point, because they just don't feel quite right. So I did the usual kind of looking, it looks right, it looks fine. So I checked the QR code, and when you look on Google, it says with these shoes that the QR code, well, this bit with the QR code should also have the model number of these shoes. So I had a look at these shoes. These were ASOS exclusives, so they're Adidas shoes but ASOS exclusives, and it said that it should have the artwork number in here for the model, which it does. So I was thinking, happy days. However, when you scan the QR code, it goes to another Chinese website, and also this model number should be on the tag on here, and it isn't. So yes, so I then knew that it wasn't, that these weren't legit either. So I contacted the seller exactly the same as I did with the other one. I pressed the buttons to say that I wasn't happy, that I suspected it was counterfeit. I contacted the seller. I said, these are the reasons. Again, I sent photos. I was like, the reasons why I think these are counterfeit. Can I please return these to you and get a refund? Now the lady, I think it was a lady, she came back and said, I'm really sorry, I had no idea that they weren't legit. QR code, if you're not sure, scan it, see where it goes, because this has been, there's been other reasons, as I said, with these shoes why I don't think they're quite legit, but that QR code is, that is it, that has been the telltale. So yeah, then I sent her the details. I said, look, these were ASOS exclusive. The QR code is going to a Chinese website. According to Google, you can get some Adidas shoes that are exclusive to China, and they will come up on a Chinese website, but it would be like the Adidas version of the Chinese website, and that is kind of how these looked, to be perfectly fair. These were ASOS exclusive, so there was no way they would be on this Chinese website. And I started looking a little bit on TikTok. You know, sometimes I get a little bit obsessed with these things. I go down rabbit holes all over the place. And I found these exact same ones for sale on TikTok for £25. And I was like, okay. And they were like a rep seller. So again, yeah, no, these definitely weren't legit. So disappointed. Anyway, the seller was really lovely. She said, look, I'm really sorry, I wasn't aware that they weren't legit. Again, I don't know whether that's truthful or not, but she said she was sorry, and I was like, fine, fair enough. I know these things happen, people do buy, I mean, my sort of fakes and stuff like that comes from more sort of handbag side of things, where I've learned a lot over the years and I know to be very, very cautious, but I also know how easy it is to get scammed. I'm just like, fine, you know, I understand, things happen. She said return it to me. So she sent me a label, so it came, should I say she sent it, it came through automatically from Vinted. So I had a word of caution. When I bought something before from Vinted, it came in a reusable packaging, which I thought, oh, amazing, I love this, reusable packaging. So I sent it back in that, but the label, when I took it to the every place to send it back, the label wasn't quite sticking quite as well as I would expect it to. I asked the lady in there if she had any sellotape just to give it an extra stick round. She said no, I don't, but she wrapped it on and it stuck. So I fortunately took a photo of it when I sent it back, and sort of, you know, I know how weird some things can be, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to take a photo, which I'm really quite pleased I did. So if you were sending something back, take a photo. So anyway, I sent it back and I watched the tracking. It went from from there to the local sorting centre, and then it then just kind of stopped. That was on a Thursday night, so it just stopped, and I was just like, okay, sorting centre, I know whatever you like, unfortunately. Yeah. Enough about the every story, I've got a lot. Yeah, it just sort of stopped, and I didn't really think nothing of it, because I know these things can sometimes happen and it takes a while. But then Saturday came, and I had a knock on the door, and I went out. I was thinking I wasn't expecting anybody, and I went out and couldn't see anybody, and this was here, the same as I showed you when I video, were outside my front door, and I was like, what the heck? Now, when I sent these back to the seller, I left them in this bag as they'd arrived, and I just left this open. I didn't think to seal it back down and put a new label on it, because I put it in the reusable packaging. But these were returned, so yeah, I stuck these exactly as they were in the reusable packaging and sent them to the seller. Anyway, these have somehow been returned by Every for me. They'd been stuck down, which they were open. When I sent them in the reusable packaging, they were open. So these have been stuck down somehow by Every, which was really kind of them, I think. This brown tape, and yeah, just come back to me. I was just like, WTF? That's a little bit weird. So anyway, I contacted the seller, and I was like, random, these have just been returned to me, even though I posted them back to you, and I sent a photo of me posting them back. So as I said, please I had one. Anyway, I sent it back, and so yeah, God, I keep saying so a lot. I'm trying to think of the story and how it went. So I messaged her and said, can you please contact Vinted, or can you please find a way to send me another label and I will try again. She said, well, there's nothing I can do, I'm so sorry. I was thinking, a little bit weird. I then googled it and I was like, what do I do? And it said contact Vinted sort of immediately, let me know the details. So I did. So I explained the story to Vinted. I went through the AI bot around the houses, as you do, and uploaded a photo of me sending it back, said what had happened, etc. And the AI bot said my query had been passed to a human and I would be contacted within 48 hours. I wasn't contacted within 48 hours. I think I waited probably about 3 days, and I went back on around the AI bot, and it's like, it took ages, and it's like, we're aware of your query, we'll contact you when we've got a resolution. I was just like, oh, for goodness sake. So I waited another couple of days. I then contacted the seller and I was like, look, I'm not getting anywhere with Every. I keep going around the houses. Yeah, or he's sending me all over the place. Can you please contact them and explain what's happened and see if you can get me a new label, please, so I can get these sent back to you. I bought these in good faith. I appreciate that you weren't aware, but I just said I just want a refund. Bought these based upon the description and the assumption that these were real. Hear nothing back from the seller at all this time, but the message come up to say that it had been seen. I didn't hear anything, so I thought, okay, I'm there talking to Vinted. I don't know. Still didn't hear anything. So by this time, about a week had passed since I made that initial query to Vinted to be like, I need a label, please. I just want to send these back. I want a refund. And I still didn't really get much from Vinted other than, and this is where it got resolved, other than a message to say your payment's been refunded to you, your order's been cancelled, payment's been sent back to you full, and we have also compensated the seller. So if you've been on the other end of this and you are a seller, I would love to know what they mean by the seller has also been compensated. These shoes, when I got them, cost about £60, hence why I didn't suspect that, well, hence why I looked at the pictures and they looked how they would do normally. I didn't suspect that these would be fake, given the fact that they were about £60 and these new shoes that I got directly from ASOS, from Adidas, were in the sale, and they were £60, which I think is kind of normal for shoes, and these were obviously pretty loved, etc. They hadn't been worn according to the description, but I wouldn't. Anyway, so yeah, wasn't expecting that these were fakes. So where am I going with this? My train of thought, sorry, losing my train of thought. So yeah, please let me know what they mean by the seller was also compensated, because if the lady genuinely thought that these were real, she would now be out of pocket by not having these shoes back in her possession. So anyway, that is what happens. So word of warning, if you are buying shoes on Vinted, regardless of if they are luxury or not, be very, very cautious. If there is the option to get them authenticated, I would highly recommend it. I know it probably costs a little bit of money. I think it's about £10 or something, plus there's always quite a few other fees now you get on Vinted. Yeah, get authenticated, because this has just been quite a stressful experience, and to go through it twice hasn't been good. But anyway, I am now left with 2 pairs of shoes which I am not going to wear, and I really don't want to. I don't want to, like, if I had shoes and I wasn't wearing them, etc, etc, I wouldn't sell them, because I don't sell stuff, but I would take them to the charity shop if they are in still good condition. But I don't want to take these types of shoes that could potentially be sold to scam someone else to the charity shop, because it's not fair. So what I think I'm going to do, and I'm pleased in a way that he's come back, because I love these laces. These are the cutest little fluffy pink laces, and I want these for another pair of shoes. I saw some really cool print shoes on a post on Instagram recently, and they put in pink laces and they looked adorable. I haven't got any leopard print trainers, but I'm considering getting some just to put these laces in. So what I think I'm going to do is take out the laces. So I've got laces in here. I'm not sure if they've got a spare pair of laces with these ones on. But I've then also got these white laces on here. I've got the black laces, and yeah, laces, black laces. So essentially I've now got 3 pairs of laces, and it doesn't hurt, does it, to have extra laces for things? So I'm going to keep the laces, and then yeah, I think I'm just going to bin the rest, because I don't want these to get into the wrong hands and fall foul of it's a shame really, because, you know, again, even if I just gave these to someone, these really smell so chemically. What have they got in here that could be absorbing into your skin? And they're just, they can't be healthy, can they, when they smell so bad? They don't smell too bad today, but yeah, when I opened them, they were just vile. So anyway, I will leave it here, my lovelies. If you have any similar experiences though, please let me know in the comments. I read every single one of them, and I would love to know your experiences. How it ended up for you. Did you get similar resolutions to me, or completely different? And as I said before, if you were a seller and you got compensated, please let me know what that means. How much of the actual sales price did you get back? Because I am so interested in knowing. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I am really wanting to grow my channel, and it would be wonderful to have you here. So yeah, thanks for watching, my lovelies. Till next time, bye.